Hey guys, it's Em here from the Pelvic Hub. I am so excited this morning to be chatting to the wonderful Kim Vopni, who is also known as the Vagina Coach and is part of the dream team of Bellies Inc. Hey Kim, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. So thank you so much for joining us this morning. I just wanted to start with asking you a bit about your why. So why have you become, I guess, got into this industry in terms of, women's health and pre and postnatal and obviously being a vagina coach as well, which is very exciting. So yeah, I'd like to hear a bit more about your why.
Sure. So my why really started when I was a kid, and I remember having this fascination about childbirth, and part of it started because I saw a video in 6th grade about childbirth that really scared me, and I also knew my mom had had some challenges, and so she was telling me about her births, and she had an episiotomy, which is when they cut the perineum. So I had kind of these negative images about birth, and then I also know my mom had struggled with incontinence and she had back pain all the time. And so I had this, I didn't think I was going to have babies. I just thought that's not for me. And long story short, I grew up, decided I did want to have children. And I really wanted to make sure I had a different story than what my mom had. And so I tried to be as proactive as I could. And my midwives have recommended a product to me it's available in Australia. It's called the Epino, and it's manufactured in Germany. And I used that product and then became the Canadian distributor for that. And so that was kind of my introduction to the world of pelvic health. And I never intended it for it to be a business. I just thought it would be sort of side pocket money, and I would promote it to friends, and that's all I thought it would be. And obviously now that's 10 years later, and it's become a lot more than that. So that's kind of how it started. And then in 2009, I had used it again with my second babe and my second pregnancy. And I started a website, and then I got laid off from my full-time career job. And my background was in fitness. I had been working in the fitness industry before I started in a corporate role. And when I got laid off, I just saw an opportunity to try to get this product out there more. And so I did that. And Twitter was coming onto the scene. Facebook really was very still personal. It wasn't a lot of business. So I started to use the only social media platform at the time to get the word out. And then I started to find other people who were talking about similar things. And I met up with Samantha and Julia, and we formed Bellies Inc. And that was meant to kind of, with that business, our intention was to create a product that we felt was missing from the world, and that would be that. And then we would just sell it in our independent businesses, and it wouldn't really, again, we didn't intend it to become a bigger business, but it did become a bigger business. So which is fine, which is a good problem to have. And so it's now kind of, I dance between the two. I have my independent business and Bellies Inc. And Sam and Julia are no longer involved in the day-to-day. They're still founders and shareholders of the company, but I sort of manage the distribution and sales of our app wrap. One day, the three of us sat down and started to share strategies about what we were doing, and recognizing that there weren't very many at the time. So this is, again, just under 10 years, 9 years ago. And there weren't that many products that were available. Anyway, in the end, we came up with this design that we felt would accommodate some of what we felt was missing. So we designed an exercise program that was going to be used in pregnancy as kind of like a core preparation. So to get that mind-body connection with the pelvic floor. They were functional movements that were suitable for pregnancy and birth prep as well. And then those same exercises would be used in the first 8 weeks postpartum from a restorative and core retraining perspective. So women didn't have to learn a whole separate program. Once you have a babe and you're breastfeeding and you're working on lack of sleep, the last thing you need to do is now have to try to motor pattern and learn this new exercise program. So we wanted women to already have known it and done it. And then it was just a matter of pressing replay and going through the steps again. So that was the piece that we did with that. And then the products, I have it here. So it's, some of the other binders that were out there were sort of, they were kind of like a big panel. So it would be one panel over another panel, and it would be very focused on the waist. So that was one thing we wanted to address. We wanted to have something that was going to provide some support to the pelvis and be able to provide support from the bottom up rather than coming into the waist and kind of creating pressure that would go downwards onto the pelvic floor. We wanted something that was elastic. So you mentioned that you felt like you weren't breathing properly, and some binders can be very restrictive, and some of the fabrics that are used are also not very stretchy. So it can limit movement of the body, but also movement of the breath, which is, it's detrimental if that happens. So we really wanted to address that. We wanted to create something that would shrink because in postpartum, you know, you look like you've just had your babe, and your belly is a tiny bit smaller, but you still definitely look pregnant. And then over the next several weeks, things start to shrink a little bit. So we wanted something that was going to be shrinking with the women, and you wouldn't have to buy multiple sizes. And yeah, those were the main, and then the other piece we wanted to address was the torso sizes. So some, you know, you can have very tall people, you can have people with shorter torsos. And what we found with some of them is, especially with the panel ones, is if you had a very short torso, those panels were just constantly folding over and weren't settling in. And if you were a taller person, you had some of the other ones that were like bands, they weren't necessarily a big panel, then it wasn't covering enough distance, and it was not as effective. So we tried to kind of take all of those things and put it into what we felt was a pretty good product, and so far other people think it's pretty good too, and I'm glad that you think
I love it. I have a short torso and a funny shaped sacrum, and so being able to like move it and put it to where my body feels comfortable and needed the support at the time was perfect for me. So yeah, let's have a look at how it works.
This is the lumbosacral pad. So this is supposed to go over kind of your sacrum, the top of your pelvis, and a little bit into your low back. And each side of the wrap has 2 straps, so you can adjust it. I'll show you what it's like when you have it on. That comes into one arm essentially, that joins at the bottom. So you have a little bit more flexibility with positioning afterwards. So now here, I'll put a pillow under my shirt so it looks kind of like I just had a baby. Gives me a little bit.
Nice little impromptu.
I have a lumpy baby, but you know. So this goes around the back, the low pelvis, and the arms cross over in front, so you hold on to them with the opposite hand. And then, let me just back up here 1 second. Get my chair out of the way, sorry. So the bottom arm comes down and underneath the belly, and sorry, my pillow's up a little bit high, but so it comes down and around the belly, and you kind of lift up. And then the top arm goes across a little more gently. So the top arm should be looser than the bottom, and it's meant to be over the pelvis and the lower abdomen, as opposed to up higher in the waist, if that makes sense. So that's kind of from a positioning perspective. And then the straps can be adjusted. So if I was a taller person, I can pull the straps apart so that they cover a bit more space. And then if I was a little bit shorter, then I can overlap them so that and then the same thing down below if I needed more coverage down there. So that's how it works. Excuse me, I'm just going to birth my pillow. And
how efficient of you.
Yeah, so we have, it's suitable for anybody. So whether you have a vaginal birth or a cesarean birth, and even people like yourself who've never had children, there's also people who've had surgeries, different types of pelvic or abdominal surgeries, who have benefited from it as well. So we created it for the postpartum market, but it certainly has a sort of a broader reach. And the idea is that it's worn in the first, it can be worn up to 8 weeks. Some people actually need to wear it even a little bit more than 8 weeks, but it's a temporary support to the pelvis and the abdomen, where the muscles have stretched beyond their optimal length, and their capacity to manage loads, manage that pressure, help with core control is a little bit hindered temporarily. So this provides the external support while the internal support is rebuilt and retrained with the exercise. And then the wrap is eventually weaned off of, and as you become stronger, and that's generally how it works. That's the general philosophy.
Yeah, it's really important to make sure that you do the exercises along with the product at the same time. Well, thank you so much for talking to me today. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I'm so honoured to stock and distribute your beautiful ab system and ab wrap on the Pelvic Hub. We are going to be. Yeah, thanks. We're excited.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It was it was a pleasure chatting with you, and thank you again. We love the fact that this is over there and that you're stocking it for us.
Oh, cool. We will be in touch, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Friday.